Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 1. Therefore, since we have so great a cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us also lay aside every encumbrance and the sin which so easily entangles us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of God. I can't imagine what it must have been like to run in the Boston Marathon only to get to the finish line and see the terrible tragedy of those bystanders fall victim to a cowardly terrorist attack. But such is the world that we live in. But our text talks of another marathon, another race. It's the Christian life. And we envision us running in verse 1. And as we run the Christian life, we have a great cloud of witnesses. It's not that they're watching us as much as we can see them. As I'm running this race and I'm going through the Christian life and I get tired and I want to stop. I want to give up. I look up in the stands and I see the godly men and women of the past. I see Ruth. She lost her husband in death, and she lost her father-in-law in death, and it looked like she was going to be all alone. But she trusted in God, and he took care of her and blessed her. If Ruth could do this, I can run a little further. And then as I run, I fall. I'm flat on my face. I've committed some sin that the devil is whispering in my ear saying that I'm no good and that I'll never make it to heaven and I might as well give up. But out of the corner of my eye, I look up into the stands and I see David, a man who lusted and committed fornication with his friend's wife, and then sent his friend off to the front lines to die so he could take her. And yet, David truly repented from the heart, and God forgave him and even called him a man after God's own heart. If David could do that, I can get up and I can run a little further. And then the verse tells us to lay aside every encumbrance. In our language today, that would be get rid of your baggage. Get rid of your baggage. And then it says, and the sin which so easily entangles us. What is the sin? It's not our baggage, but it's the sin that has been talked about throughout this epistle. In Hebrews chapter 11, it says, he who comes to God must believe that he is, number one, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. It's not enough just to believe that God is. You've got to believe that he wants to reward you, that he's not out to get you, that he loves you. But how can I get rid of my baggage, and how can I get rid of that sin of doubt in my life? That brings us to verse 2. Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of faith. Jesus not only authored our faith before the world began, but he also perfected our faith through the cross, perfecting what we on our own can't do. He did for us. Look at some of the words in that verse. It says he endured the cross. Have you ever had so much stress that it feels like the ceiling is falling down on you? Well, in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus had so much stress that the Bible says blood came out of his pores like sweat. If God hadn't sent angels at that point, he would have surely died. Have you ever been betrayed by a loved one? Jesus was betrayed with a kiss. Have you ever been in pain? Maybe sickness and maybe some accident or some pain that you're going through. Do you know that the word excruciating comes from two Latin words that means to come out of the cross? Crucifixion was the defining word of pain and for pain. But not only that, he endured the pain, but it says he despised the shame. Have you ever been a victim of sexual abuse? Jesus was hung naked in front of his mother and his disciples. To be innocent and to be hanged naked publicly. Jesus despised that. In fact, it was so humiliating that the Romans who specialized in the art of torture, of crucifixion, assured their citizens that no Roman would ever be crucified. So if Jesus endured the pain, if Jesus despised the shame, what was the joy? What was the joy of the cross? Was it that he would go and be with God the Father? He was with God the Father before the world began. No, it's something else. You see, at the end of your race, when your life is over and you close your eyes in death, when you open them, you will see Jesus, and he will walk up to you and put his arm around you and say, I'm so glad to see you here. I died to get you here. You see, you are the joy that Jesus endured the cross for. Right now, sitting at the right hand of God is the one who authored your faith and who perfected what you can't through the cross, so that someday when that marathon is over, he can welcome you home. If this podcast was an encouragement to you, you can go to johndkimbrough.com and hear more. Thank you.